about America and just old school common sense. It's not about left or right.
He called a lid at 10 a.m. today.
It's more about right or wrong. It's about cutting through the noise and finding the truth.
It's uncomfortable talking about all of this stuff.
Finding things we have in common, not what divides us. It's about we the people. We do news. We do sports. We do entertainment. And we have a damn good time in the process. Wednesday, everyone. I'm Drew Berquist. This is my show coming to you again from the Blue Room. This week, we're just kind of locked in the Blue Room all week, it seems. But we'll see. We'll see how long this lasts as we wait for parts to arrive from. I don't know where they're coming from. I was going to say where they're coming from. But hope you're having a great day. Lots to get to on this Wednesday. KJP Peter Doocy from Fox News got into it yet again. We had Kamala, who did another interview. Didn't go so well. We'll share some thoughts from that. There's an update on the investigation into the second Trump assassination attempt in Florida. Some updates on that case writ large. And we've got Tim Walz and Cam who keep using this whole middle class line. We're going to talk about that. We're going to get into all of it. Before we get into all of it, we'd like to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Genesis Gold Group. Folks, we know that there are lots of precious metals companies out there. You hear about them all the time. You get emailed about them. You see ads. You hear other podcasters and radio hosts talk about them. But this is a group that we stand by and stand with because of their faith-based values, because of the fact that they are an America First company, unabashedly so. So we have chosen to partner with them. And beyond those things, because there are other companies who share those same sentiments and values, Genesis Gold Group doesn't play games with you. They don't browbeat you into submission on this program or that program. They actually educate you along the way, figure out what your specific situation is and what your needs are. And they work with you to find the right plan for you, not for them, for you. I've talked to lots of people on the back ends of how these precious metals and gold companies works in terms of fees, in terms of all the different gimmicks and stuff that they do. And a lot of the other companies out there are charging you an arm and a leg to make this transition. That's not how Genesis Gold does it. So go to goldwithdrew.com. There's a simple form that you'll see there. You can fill that out. You'll get a free definitive gold guide. Someone will be in touch with you to figure out what makes the most sense for you. Again, it's goldwithdrew.com. Go check them out, and I think that you will be glad that you did. Okay, so where should we start? Let's start here. Obviously, President Trump was involved in another near-death experience, a second assassination attempt on Trump International Golf Course this past weekend. And he came, so Martin County is the county where the suspect was arrested. He had the Martin County Sheriff's deputies come visit him so he could thank them. Here was that scene. Take a look.
Stuff right there. That's good-looking human beings, huh? Mr. President, God bless. Great job. Great job. We'll go down the line. Thank you very much. I'm still here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, Sheriff, who's your best man here? Who's the best guy? I don't know who saw. Oh, that's pretty good. I didn't get one of them. That's good, huh?
I love it. It's the right thing to do. Having them there, thanking them. And look, there's optics to it, but this is something that I think that he has traditionally done and is a genuine thing. They did a great job apprehending this individual, and Trump was sure to thank them. But I thought it was a great scene. Tom, you've got some info on the Martin County Sheriff's Office that I'll let you share.
Sure. The Martin County Sheriff's Office is, like we talked about, north of Palm Beach County. And if you don't follow them on social media, I suggest that you do, because they have one of the best hashtags ever. They always, whenever they put out a story of somebody from a different county or a different city that gets arrested in Martin County, they always end it with hashtag wrong exit. And I can't think of any other hashtag more fitting. I know that he was pulled over on 95 and did exit into Martin County, but the fact that he crossed over into Martin County and got caught there, again, hashtag wrong exit. The Martin County Sheriff's Office, I know it pretty well since living in South Florida and having worked with them on my days in cops, on the cop show in the past. A couple of stories I want to relate to you. One, if you go back, if you're ever watching the cop show and Martin County, Florida comes up, make sure you tune in, because one of the camera guys that I worked with rode with a one-legged cop who got into a foot chase and caught the bad guy. It's actually kind of funny when you watch it, because the bad guy hops the fence, the one-legged deputy gets to the fence, jumps over, and this is 98, so prosthetics aren't really that good, so it's just like this big blue club that the deputy's wearing. He goes over the fence and he clonks the crackhead in the head with his club and kind of knocks him out and is able to effect the arrest. So that's this. That episode is the only time you're going to see a one-legged deputy catch somebody in a foot pursuit. And then before Sheriff Snyder, I believe it was Sheriff Crowder. And he was an OG law enforcement guy. He had been the sheriff in Martin County from 92 until, I believe, 2013. And forgive me, Sheriff Crowder, if this wasn't you, if it was your predecessor, but the story goes, and I've talked to many Martin County deputies who corroborate the story, but I'm pretty sure it's Sheriff Crowder. Anyways, whenever they would have an escapee from the Martin County jail, Sheriff Crowder would round up a horseback posse to track the inmate that escaped. And the posse also included a chuck wagon. So Martin County always seems to get their man. And in this case, they came through once again.
I love it. I love it. That's quite the library of stories you've got for a single county in Florida, but all really good ones. I love it. I love Trump doing this too. And look, you know, leading into this next clip with KJP and Doocy, you have a man who has been targeted now twice for assassination. Lord knows how many other times on a lesser scale, things that were thwarted on the way there, but obviously has been made to be public enemy number one, despite the fact that he's truly not. But you have that, and we talked about this yesterday. You had Hillary Clinton coming out and saying, look, we need to get everyone in unison. We need to be more consistent in calling this person a dangerous man, this person a threat. And yet all these same people will say that we need to stop the violent rhetoric. We need to stop the dangerous rhetoric as they spew it. Well, Peter Doocy asked, I think, a very reasonable, logical, and I would say needed question yesterday to KJP. Take a listen to this response because it's not going to surprise you, but it will enrage you, and it just goes to further expose the problems that we have and how the White House, the media, their friends everywhere are pushing this narrative and then won't own up to it. Take a look at this scene here.
Allegedly tried to kill Donald Trump again. And you're here at the podium in the White House briefing room calling him a threat. How many more assassination attempts on Donald Trump until the president and the vice president and you pick a different word to describe Trump other than threat?
Peter, if anything from this administration, I actually completely disagree with the premise of your question, the question that you're asking. It is also incredibly dangerous in the way that you're asking it because American people are watching. And to say that from an administration who has consistently condemned political violence, from an administration where the president called the former president and was thankful, grateful that he was okay, from an administration who has called out January 6th, called out the attack of Paul Pelosi, called out and said we need to lower the temperature after the Butler incident, And now for you to make that kind of comment in your question, because your question involved a comment and a statement. And, it is, that is also incredibly dangerous.
Sorry.
I mean, sorry, I'm muted too. I'm
I fired it again.
We were just talking though, because we were muted during that clip. I mean, it's okay now in 2024 to punch a woman in the face, right? Because that's what you want to do to her if she truly is a woman. She is. She's just.
Do you think she's the man in her relationship with
Oh,
her
hell,
partner?
Oh, I would think so.
So I mean,
I thought she split up with Malveaux, Suzanne Malveaux.
Well, she may have in any relationship.
she wears the pants.
Yeah, she wears the pants. We're done scissoring. It's time to.
Thank you, Tom.
Did Tom just do a gesture? Okay, I didn't even see it. We were both thinking the same thing.
Perfect timing.
But let's get to what she said. I disagree with the premise of your question. No one gives a shit what you think. Their job, no one does it, by the way, except for Peter Doocy. Their job out there is to ask questions. Your job is to answer questions. I take offense to that question. I disagree with the premise. Shut up. That's so stupid. And she says the American people are watching. Yes, they are. They absolutely are. And here's what I hope that they're seeing, because she goes on this laundry list of all the things that the White House and Joe Biden has done and Kamala has done and yada, yada, yada. The president called Trump. So the White House has consistently condemned violence. I love how they worked Paul Pelosi into their list of things.
That's all they have. They don't have anything else.
But literally, I mean, the answer to all of this is actually doing something, not just calling someone, not just condemning it, actually doing something, actually toning down the rhetoric, changing the rhetoric, actually liking the country and the American people for once, because they're literally saying we condemn violence and then turning to Disco and be like, get the next guy, make sure he doesn't miss this time. Like it's obvious to everyone, right, that that's what they're doing. It's so easy to just say whatever the hell you want and then do what you want and have those things not match up. And that's who that is the left in a perfect picture.
And thank you for doxing me as being the guy who gets the guy for them.
Yeah, well,
Right.
I think the gig's up.
I don't know if we can pull it up again, but I just want to. I want to see that picture of KJP once again, just a freeze frame in the video, because her whole wardrobe is laughable right now. She to me looks like the Great Pumpkin in the outfit that she's wearing. I feel like I need to light a candle and drop it in the top of her head and watch her, smile like a jack-o'-lantern.
You know what it is, Tom? She's Lloyd Christmas from Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean,
nice hooters.
He wore that same outfit in a cult classic comedy, Dumb and Dumber. I think we have a meme for it tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, it's a little harder to pull. He's getting it, but it's a little harder to pull up images because we're not going through the TriCasters today. But
right, I think what's important to what she said, and this was what the communist does, and what the communists will always do. They will make a quick pivot, so they're always the victim. That way, violence is justified to anybody else they deem as the aggressor. In this case, and it's been the case ever since the dawn of the United States, the Democrats have always been the aggressor. I heard Whoopi Goldberg say there's only one side that owns violence in America, political violence in America. And guess what, bitch? That's you. Yeah. You guys own it. It's all on you.
You're dressed like this.
Yeah, the Great Pumpkin. Look at that. A very Charlie Brown Halloween. But it goes back to, this is the typical communist play. When you grow up in a victim oppressor ideology like the communists do, they can never be the aggressor. They always have to be perceived as the victim, but they are the aggressor. They are the ones who want to commit political violence. They're the ones who riot. They're the ones who burn down cities. They're the ones who murder innocent people on the street because they're pissed off about something because their party tells them to be pissed off. They're the ones going after political rivals, trying to execute them. That's what they do. And the funny part is a lot of people on the left are so brainwashed, they don't see it. They can't even, they can't believe the difference. They don't understand the difference between true and false because of the filter that they view everything between us versus them. So until they can break that filter and say, you know what, my side's a bit screwed up because they're the ones prone to violence. They're the ones who want to make sure that you could kill a baby after it's born. They're the ones who, if they don't like what you're saying, they want to dox you. They're the ones who, if they don't like what you post, if they don't like a meme, they want to put you in jail. They're the ones who are the purveyors of violence across our political landscape.
Yeah. No, that awareness and that aha moment is so critical, because as it stands right now, the left has all the top cover and support that they need because of all the people who can't see past the lies and can't see that obvious truth. If everyone starts to wake up, and I don't even like using that phrase because it's associated with,
being woke,
not just being woke, but then you got the Q movement who's like, oh, are you awake or are you not awake? I'm having coffee, but like, I'm not on your team, but I'm
not on anyone's team except my own and you guys. That's it.
I'm not either. This is a very small circle. Doesn't mean we don't love some of you guys in the audience, but there's some of you, maybe not even in the audience. There's just some people out there, Americans, we should say. It's like, man, nope. we are not simpatico on enough things. But you've got to get that, because you start to take the power away from them. Yes, they still have the government, and they abandon rules and abuse the powers and authorities that are there. But you start to take that away from them when more people call them on their bullshit and say, oh, you know what? Yeah, I think you've been lying to us. And I think that you are, as you said, Tom, I think that you are actually the party of violence, and I'm leaving the party of violence, and I'm maybe not going to the Republican Party, which is maybe not even a party, right? If we're being honest, it's on a piece of paper, but I don't know that it is. But I'm going somewhere else. I'm waking up. We're going to play a Chris Cuomo clip, and I'm not saying Chris Cuomo's perfect and actually made this big turn that everyone's talking about, but I'm going to do Tulsi Gabbard, fill in the blank with whoever you want to as an example, but I'm not going to be a part of this any longer. And when one person, whether they're prominent or not, or even hundreds or even thousands of people do that, it doesn't necessarily get you there where you need to be. But eventually, if you can get this snowball going down the hill and you take a lot of those willing pawns away from them, because that's what they prey on. The left needs chaos, which they're very good at sowing, and they need willing pawns, willing participants in all of this. And you start to take away that piece, and it's a little bit harder for them to, I'm not saying that it ends it, but it's a little bit harder for them to execute this nonsense that we're living in.
Yeah, and I've seen people on the left who are saying, oh, by definition, liberals, are up for more change, and by definition, conservatives don't want change. That's the definition of it. Okay, there might be people on the far extremes that are like that, but when anyone, whether it's a liberal more towards the center or a conservative more towards the center, tries to enact actual change, the liberals are like, oh, we can't do that. Because if they were up for actual change, when someone would bring up term limits, they'd be like, well, yeah, you're right. But they're like, no, we can't have that change. But then when they do want change, they want it their way or the highway. We got to get rid of all the guns. That's
right.
Not the change we need. Nope, that's what it is. It's all or nothing.
You know what? You want change? And this is a challenge to Republicans and Republicans in the Senate. You want change? Somebody draft a bill and put it up for a vote that says you have to have 75% instead of 50 to win. They'll never do it because they're on this. Ultimately, they're on the same team.
Yep, you're right. And there's I always talk about single issue bills, which is another great way to try and pin people down on what they actually feel, how they actually feel, and vote on an issue. There's a single issue bill going through right now on whether or not legal immigrants need to have ID to vote, or whether people need to have ID to vote. And the Democrats haven't voted on it. None of them have voted yes. It's like, see, they're telling us exactly, and they don't care. They're saying it's frustrating.
But the Democrats, the whole plan the entire time is you have, it's like Springfield. You have these husks of cities that when manufacturing went away, the town pretty much dried up. And what happened to the people there? You had big pharma and government come in, get them addicted to drugs, and the ones that weren't addicted joined the military, either got killed or came back and became addicted to drugs and killed themselves, and have become a wasteland for just zombies who are dependent on the government. And then you import more people from foreign countries to take over that city and take over the limited amount of resources that they had as far as being able to help them, and you snatch that away from them. The whole Democrat plan of this resettlement of new Democrats from around the earth is so diabolical. It almost seems too weird to be a conspiracy theory, but that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, it is. It is
such a fun light episode today.
It is. Well, let's keep it light. Because there's so much hypocrisy with the left, so many double standards, so many all of this. Whether you're talking COVID, whether you're talking protection for presidents in this case, which we're talking about, but you had Maria Bartiromo, who's talking about again how the media is blaming Trump for his second assassination attempt, which is just ludicrous. But then also how, according to her and according to people in this report here, Barack Obama, also a former president, has more security, or has had historically more security when he's out golfing than Trump has. Let's listen to this, then we'll break it down.
Complete joke, Liz Peek. I mean, give me a break. They're over there on MSNBC having an entire conversation about toning down the rhetoric of Trump. He just had 2 assassination attempts on his life, as they're calling him Hitler and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, it's really despicable. They're blaming Trump effectively for an attempt on Trump's life, Maria. It doesn't get stupider than that or more vile.
Yeah, and I just want to point out this. According to the Secret Service, the golf course yesterday was not fully secured because, quote, Trump is not a sitting president. Oh, really? Let's take a look at the kind of security President Obama has. Since he's no longer a sitting president, we've got pictures here of President Obama's golf course in Martha's Vineyard. Secret Service inspects every vehicle when they even drive near the course, Cheryl. So what's the answer? He's not a sitting president, yet the golf course that he's on is incredibly secure.
All of these questions should be answered because, remember, in the fiscal 2025 budget that has been proposed, there is a budget increase again for the Secret Service. And I think that this all goes up to the top, and that is Secretary Mayorkas, Maria. That's who needs to be answering these questions right now.
Bingo. Great point. Let's take a short.
So the difference, Maria, as we all know, great little segment there. Absolutely right about the media, as we've discussed yesterday, today, and we'll probably discuss more and more throughout the week. But the difference is, of course, that they love Obama, the Obama-Messiah, as we call him around here. That's how the left sees him. And Obama, by all accounts, is still running everything. So he's a really important figure to the establishment. On the flip side of that, the establishment literally wants to, and has said, wants to kill former President Trump. So it should be the same. If all things were equal, nothing is. If all things were fair, nothing is. you would say that they both have the same amount of security, and it should be a lot because they're former presidents of the United States, former leaders of the free world. But there's a huge distinction between the two. This one they literally hold up on a pedestal, which is befuddling to me since he's the most critical and key figure in taking the country down the path of communism. And then the other one, everyone has been told to hate and they want him dead. It's just wild. By the way, just as a side point, did you see, and it's a little extreme to I don't want to take it completely out of context, but Bill O'Reilly the other day said, I didn't think Obama was that bad of a president, didn't really do anything. Like, Bill O'Reilly, this is why no one listens to you anymore. He was a huge deal. But let's stay with Maria for a second. Tom, what's your take?
Well, you talk about the difference between protection between Trump and Obama, and you're right, but I kind of differ with you a little bit. One, Trump is a former president of the United States. Obama is your current president of the United States. So that's why you see the difference in security. And I think if anybody who is denying who's actually pulling the strings is living in a fantasy world, is living in the same world that believes that Tower 7 fell because it was sad that his two friends fell before him. It's ridiculous to think that Obama is not in charge right now. And the fact that they keep trying to kill Trump, it's not going to, unfortunately, it's not going to stop. They're going to keep trying because he is that much of a threat to them. And when I say them, I mean these global elites and especially the permanent Washington. They have an agenda, and we all know what that is. By 2030, you'll own nothing and love it or like it. That's their goal. And right. Trump is in their way. He's not willing to play along. Elon Musk, Bolsonaro, there's a few around the world that don't want to be a part of this global cabal. Shinzo Abe was another one. Look what they did to him. They killed him. They were successful in killing him. So unfortunately, it's not going to stop because these pedophilic Satan worshipers who are running our government have their own agenda, and they need to make it work.
That was very Q sounding of you right there. So a lot of which I agree with. Just some phrasing. No, absolutely. They're not. We talked about this yesterday. We've talked about it all week. They're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. And I sadly think they're not going to stop until they succeed. And then they're going to justify it when they do succeed as why it's not as bad or not as tragic of a thing for the country as it actually is, which is just how freaking sick they are. But Slutface was asked, she did another interview and was asked about Secret Service protection, as a lot of them have been. We've got a couple clips that they're kind of spread out. We're not going to do them right in a row here, but we're going to do this first one where Kamala just totally notice how she doesn't give two shits about Trump, totally dodges the question, and then goes on to just attack him rather than address what really is a very important question. Take a look.
And the Secret Service to protect all of you?
I do.
You feel safe, you and your family?
I do. But, I mean, you can go back to Ohio. Not everybody has Secret Service. And there are far too many people in our country right now who are not feeling safe. I mean, I look at Project 2025, and I look at, like the Don't Say Gay laws coming out of Florida. Members of the LGBTQ community don't feel safe right now. Immigrants or people with an immigrant background don't feel safe right now. Women don't feel safe right now. And so, yes, I feel safe. I have Secret Service protection. But that doesn't change my perspective on the importance of fighting for the safety of everybody in our country.
So part of the other conversation was, does Trump have enough? And that conversation's been going on with it's been asked to Biden, it's been asked to others. But notice how she says, I feel safe. No elaboration whatsoever on that or the state of Secret Service. and protection details for key government figures, past or present, right into Ohio and Project 2025 to the Don't Say Gay bill. Hadn't heard that one come up in a while. Of course, it wasn't called that and has nothing to do with any of that. Women don't feel safe. This was a classic case of, I don't know what to say here. I also disagree with where you're trying to ask any of these questions. So I'm just going to spew the talking points that I have memorized, because at the end of the day, Cam is that really shitty student. And we've all done it, to be fair and honest, at different points. But she's that shitty student who has memorized a couple key points for the test, but doesn't actually know anything about those points or have any substance or knowledge or understanding of the subject matters that are happening. That's the perfect picture of who Cam is. She can say some things at the debate and do some stances and some looks that she was trained to do, but she doesn't actually know what she's talking about.
Yeah, she's the kid in the group that's handed the cue cards, like, just read these, but then the cue cards have fallen out of her hand, so now she has to
try and
wing it.
I've got a question. Are there any straight black male journalists? Because the representation that they had up there were two gay dudes and a chick. So that's my first question. And
is
that
Simon straight?
What's that?
Is Simon straight?
Simon
Atiba?
Yeah, from the dude from Uganda.
Yeah, I think he might be.
Yeah, I think he is, because I think being gay is illegal in Uganda. I don't think, no, he's not from Uganda. I forgot where he was. He's from, I'll think of it in a second. He's from West Africa, I believe. But it's really weird to me that you're at the Black Journalist Convention and it's supposed to be diverse, and you've got two gay dudes and a chick up there, which, whatever. That just goes back to the plan that's happening with the emasculation of black males across the United States with the toxic matriarchy. But getting back to what Carmelo was saying, she did the same thing that KJP did. Instead of, she defaulted to being a victim, and somehow it's the other side's fault. It's amazing the way the communists do this. They're always the victim, and they'll always pivot on a dime to say, well, I've got protection, but there are other people, they're immigrants out here. And we could go back to Ohio that are feeling the pressure right now of being othered by people of Springfield. And it's just, we've got a long ways to go, and the work isn't done, but it's incumbent on us to do the work. I hate it when they say we need to do the work. Nobody has ever defined what the work is. It's just this weird kind of like abstract word that they use to make it sound like they're doing so. Oh, we got to put in the work. She doesn't put in any work. She is useless. She's less than useless. She's just she's a shot receptacle. That's all she's been her entire life, and is a very highly paid shot receptacle.
I like that. That's a new descriptor for her. It is so frustrating though how they just don't address the question. They go to these talking points, all of which make no sense whatsoever. All of which are true. I mean, all of this stuff. Ohio Project 2025. Don't say gay. Women don't feel safe. If you don't feel safe in this country, I understand what she's saying. They don't feel safe for a different reason. I understand if you're in Springfield, Ohio, or Chicago, or some areas where you don't feel safe. But the context and in the manner that she's saying it is just ridiculous. That's just a bunch of people who have been told you're not safe. Oh my gosh, I'm not safe. Why? We don't know, but you're not. So just keep repeating it. It's all such a load of crap. We're gonna continue with some of this, but I want to take a quick break. Let's get to our question of the day. Disco, we don't have a bell, so
ding ding ding.
Thank you. Yesterday we talked about grilled cheese. We took a break from politics and we dove into grilled cheese.
Dinner.
Did you? Yeah. The beaten path. And my question is simply this: accordion or bagpipes? Accordion or bagpipes? You gotta choose one. Died like a dog. Abu. I laid in bed last night and I watched that bit like 4 times in a row and was rattling the bed laughing so hard as if I'd never seen it, and I've seen it so many times. But I was laughing so hard that I had to stop because I was like, I'm gonna get kicked out of here because my wife's trying to sleep and I'm shaking the bed laughing. But
if you haven't seen it, go back and find the Joe Rogan where he actually gets to talk with Shane Gillis about the SNL outing, like being fired. So good, and they do a good job where they don't really get into the specifics, but like how he experienced it. It was a really great how he handled it and everything. It was really good. Check it out.
Okay, I'll have to. I don't know if I've heard that. Okay, let's get down to brass tacks, though. Are you an accordion or a bagpipe person, Tom? What are you going with?
Well, that's a tough one because I do like the bagpipes in the AC/DC song. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. I believe that's the only rock and roll song that uses the bagpipes. But to me, bagpipes are for a very solemn occasion. So I'm going to go accordion because I like polkas and I also like drinking beer. And I equate drinking beer and having German food with the accordion.
Okay, that's a solid answer. We've got some good answers coming in across the chats here. You guys keep sending them in. By the way, hit that like button if you have not already. Disco, what are you going with?
So growing up on my dad's side, his mom, she played the accordion. She played a lot of instruments, but she would at Christmas time she'd pull out the accordion. I'm so used to, hearing it. I love it, but I do like bagpipes too.
You got to pick one. I mean, it's a question.
I'm gonna go with bagpipes.
Okay,
because they've come in. It's a long story, but they've come in and saved the day back in the day for me.
Okay,
I'm gonna do it later.
Okay. Solid answer. They both are. They're both, obscure. I would say obscure just because they're not super mainstream in terms of what you hear on the radio and stuff. They're not that obscure. You could go to Germany, you could go to all these different places and hear them. But I think I agree with Tom. I think I like the sound of the bagpipes better, but it typically invokes sadness for me. I feel like I need to cry if bagpipes are going.
Oh, when you hear "Amazing Grace" by bagpipes, if there's not a dry eye, then there's something wrong with the people who aren't crying.
Probably, yeah. Well, they're gonna die soon. But I think the accordion does invoke happier, go lucky stuff. So I think if I've got to do that, I'm gonna go. If I got to pick one, since we're posing this question, I'm gonna go that way too. I'll say this though, I'm not ripping on your family. I don't like it when people pull out instruments at gatherings.
Oh,
listen to me. Like you see, everyone knows the dude with the guitar. Like, hey, let's all sit around and listen to me play, and we can do stuff. Like, no, dude, stop it. You're gay.
That's the worst, especially when it's just you and them, and they pull out the guitar and they're like, "Listen to this song that I've just come up with." And it's like, God, no, please. Because at that point, you feel like you're being serenaded by your friend. And all of a sudden, it turns into like this weird sort of like gay hookup. And it's like, what is going on here?
Well, and you've got
a grinder date.
Yeah, there's. It's like a woman saying, "Do I look fat in this dress?" It's like, hopefully the answer is no. But you're put in a tough spot. Do you like this song, man? I just cut it. No, I don't. And if you pull out a trumpet, I'm gonna murder your ass.
Oh God!
Probably played anywhere around 8 to 9 different instruments. But the only time I've ever pulled it out in a group setting is if people have asked. I'm not the one that's gonna be like, "Hey guys, check this out," because I don't care. I'm gonna play it for myself, and that's it. If someone asks, okay, sure, it was a request. I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna like it, but I'm going to do it.
Okay.
You know what? It just depends on the situation. My wife's nephew is extremely, extremely musically gifted. And whenever there's a family gathering, we'll have dinner, a couple of drinks. And he has this incredible gift where he can pull out his guitar and he can make up a song he could come up with lyrics as he's playing some chords, and he makes up lyrics about everybody in the family. So it's kind of like a comedy routine. Something like that I'm all about. But if it's just sort of, because it's funny, there's a lot of humor to it. Everybody's laughing and having a good time. But he's never like saying, okay, this is a new one that I've come up with. It's always very lighthearted and fun.
Okay. I still don't know if I like it, but I could see why that's a different experience. I don't like it. Then the expectation is that everyone sits around, no one talks. It's like, we're here to talk, not listen to this. And if I don't want to and you walk away, then it's like, what's up his craw? Like nothing. I just don't want to be a part of any of this anymore.
That's why I don't bring my instruments out at a party. It's back there. Someone asks, cool, but that's something for you. It's not for everybody. We can do it somewhere else. I play whatever, but I'm not going to do it just because I want people to see me play guitar. I could care less. Not everyone has that mentality.
No, most people are just no. Let's move on. Real quick, while we're doing this, guys, I've been telling you about this little gem right here. It's a little box of goodness. It's called Sweetamine. There's 30 packs in this one. You can get a 12-pack. You can go to the site, sweetamine.com, and you can see there's option. You can get like a 15-month supply if you want. But Sweetamine is a key and great product for fighting inflammation. Everyone's got aches and pains. Everyone is battling inflammation to a certain extent, some way more than others. But inflammation leads to so many other bigger health issues. So maybe you're experiencing those health issues now. Maybe you're not. I hope that you're not. But if you are, and I can tell you I am, like you've got to fight and reduce that inflammation, or it can lead to much bigger issues than even the ones that you're dealing with right now. And the great thing is about Sweetamine is it's a super simple product. There's no sugar, no carbs. Diabetics can use it. There's only 24 calories a packet. It tastes a little sweet, but again, there's no sugar in it. You put it in your drink, coffee, water, workout recovery, a shake, a smoothie, you name it, wherever you want. And it gives you 8 grams of glycine, which is more than enough to fight inflammation in your body. You usually feel some results after several days, and you'll definitely feel it if you stop taking it. So check out Sweetamine. Start fighting that inflammation in your body. Take your life back. It's sweetamine.com, SWEETAMINE.com. You can see the link in the show description. Use promo code Drew to save $5 off your first order. Okay, let's continue on with this conversation here, shall we? We'll keep things super uplifting and exciting. Let's go back to, this is an update from the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office pertaining to the second assassination attempt. So let's get back into the assassination attempt, and we'll do it right here with this clip.
According to the allegations in the complaint, a U.S. Secret Service agent walking the golf course perimeter saw what appeared to be a rifle poking out of the tree line. After the agent fired a service weapon in the direction of the rifle, a witness saw a man later identified as Ralph fleeing the area in the tree line. Ralph was later apprehended by officers from the Martin County Sheriff's Office in coordination with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office. The complaint alleges that in the area of the tree line from which Ralph fled, agents found a digital camera, a backpack, a loaded SKS-style rifle with a scope, and a black plastic bag containing food. The serial number on the rifle was obliterated. According to the complaint, Ralph was convicted of felonies in North Carolina in December 2002 and March 2010, and therefore was prohibited from possessing a firearm.
All right. So kind of more of just what we already knew, right? But you've got the fact that this guy's clearly a mess. His arrest reports and records dating dating 20 years back. It's almost impressive how broken this dude is. But he was there for the long haul. Convicted felon, able to travel, able to procure a weapon, which was clearly, as stated there, had the serial number scratched off. So he obtains this weapon illegally, and then, as we discussed on Monday, was able to get in super close proximity to President Trump. You had another separately from this press conference that you just saw there. There was more information that came out from the FBI that they knew of this character since 2019, when he was reported to the Bureau for having a firearm as a felon. So this case, you see all this stuff, and it leads to, as is usually the case with all of these types of situations, certainly when you have a government trying to kill a former president and current political opponent, a lot more questions than answers. But there's some obvious points of failure here. You've got investigations going on there. You've got federal, state, all this stuff going on. DeSantis, as we mentioned the other day, has launched and authorized a state investigation into this. Tom, what's the latest with all of that?
How 2024 is this? In the same week, we're talking about Haitians in Springfield, Ohio, eating cats and dogs. We have a Haitian guy, Markenzie Lapointe, was born in Port-au-Prince. So it's everything. The whole world is crazy right now. I'm sure he's a great attorney or prosecutor, but the latest that I'm hearing, that I'm getting, is District Attorney Dave Ehrenberg from Palm Beach County has refused to file any charges against our shooter because he thinks that it's redundant for the county to press charges if the state, and Ashley Moody being the AG, is going to press charges as well. Which, I don't know, man. I feel like in a situation like this, the more charges, the better, because then what they want to do, if this guy is a deep state asset, they're going to want a plea deal. Why do they want a plea deal and protect their asset? Because they don't want discovery. Same thing that happened with Lloyd Austin, or same thing that happened with the Gitmo detainees when it came to a plea deal. If it goes to court, there's discovery. So the government has to turn over all the records that they know about this guy. The last thing that the government wants to do, especially the federal government, is give up any information that would link whatever suspect or defendant in a particular trial is linked back to them. So I applaud DeSantis going ahead with state charges, because I don't know if they're going to get a plea for state charges, because doing state time, even though you have the chance for gain time and good behavior, you're still in a state-run facility. In Rayford in Florida, absolutely sucks. You don't want to be there. Whereas if you go to federal prison, it's still going to suck, but it's not going to suck as badly. So it'll be interesting to see. I know for sure that the feds will offer a plea deal right off the bat. I'm interested to see what the state does.
Yeah. Well, exactly. I think we can expect lots of points of failure, lots of ways for things to go better for him, not for transparency, truth, and justice on the federal side. Hopefully our state gets things together and has a different outcome. We'll see. Certainly something to track as all that continues to go on.
I got
a question, yeah,
for the two of you in the audience. So he was from Hawaii, correct?
Well, he's from North Carolina, lived in Hawaii. And while he was living in Hawaii, he was flying back and forth to Ukraine.
Okay.
Yeah, NDC, yeah.
Okay, well, so for whatever reason, I thought he was still living in Hawaii. So the question doesn't matter. But, like, if he was traveling and he got to Florida, if he had to fly from Hawaii, and he has all these things, why wasn't he flagged? Like, why is he going to Florida? He must have had help, but
he was flagged.
Yeah, that's the point, though.
Yeah.
Is he does have help? I
mean, like the gun, he couldn't get a gun, so how did he get the gun? So someone assisted him with that. All those things. Even you look at the bag of food. It wasn't like he got there this morning. He must have been there he was there for 12 hours. Yeah. So I mean,
And also, too, everybody keeps referring to the serial number on the SKS as being obliterated. It was in the complaint that was filed. That's the word that the FBI agent used. Everybody's using that word. I guess it's coming from the criminal complaint. But the fact that they're saying obliterated means that there's no chance of trying to get any kind of serial number off it, as if they knew that there would be no chance in tracking this thing. So I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat again, and I'm going to say that this weapon came from Fast and Furious. It's one of those that the gun walking, Obama's gun walking program, that somehow got back into the mix and somehow ended up in this guy's hands.
Okay, well, it's not too far of a stretch. I mean, there's certainly other avenues or paths that it could have been, but that's not too far of a stretch. You mentioned the word obliterated. Everyone's saying obliterated. Let's talk about something else that everyone's talking about, another phrase or term in this case, and let's talk about Harris and Walz and all these folks saying how they were middle class. I want to wrap up today with a couple clips. If we have time, we might get to another one. But this is this is from that interview that we showed a clip earlier. I said we'd come back to it. We're coming back to it now. And this is her talking about the price of groceries, and then it's just a word salad is essentially what it is. I don't even know how to. It's hard to tee up things from Cam because she says one thing and then just vomits all over the stage. Take a look at this, then we'll discuss.
Too high? Yes. Do we have more work to do? Yes. And I will tell you, I do believe that I offer a new generation of leadership for our country that is about, in particular, turning the page on an era that sadly has shown us attempts by some to incite fear, to create division in our country.
You know what I heard there? That's what I heard there.
Well,
do the work.
Do the work. We got to do things. Yes, grocery prices are still high. Yes, I'm in office now and can fix it. No, I will not. But she talks about a new generation of leadership and turning the page on an era. And then she, of course, goes to inciting fear, which is what they love to do. But if you're being honest, she doesn't really know what she's talking about, but she's being put in this position, and she and her party are positioning themselves to turn the page and bring on a new generation of leadership. The problem is that new style of leadership is communism. And you're turning the page on an era of freedom, free speech, the ability to execute this or exercise the Second Amendment, to whatever, pick whatever matters to you. But I mean, she's kind of right in a sense, because it is a new generation of leadership. It's just a terrifying one. And it is turning the page on an era. It's just leaving what was not terrible and going to something that is terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. You hit the nail right on the head when she says turning the page. See, this is what the communists do. They speak in this weird coded language, and they always accuse the right of speaking in coded language because they're the ones doing it. It's all projection. She can't come out and say to the hardcore left, look, when I get elected, we're all going to become communists, because that won't play. People will be like, what the hell are you talking about? I don't want to be a communist, and would never vote for her. Sadly, there are a lot of people on the left that probably still would, but your people in the middle would be like, no, I'm not going down the road of communism. But she can't say that. So you have to talk in this weirdly coded language. Either you're talking, a new style of leadership. Okay, what does that mean? Does it mean communism? Does it mean DEI? What exactly are you talking about? Because the left and the communists can't be specific, because if they are specific, then their ideas crumble. The only way for them to be able to advance their ideas is through deception. And that's why we never see her giving a straight answer, or Walz giving a straight answer. One, because Walz is incapable of doing anything straight.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, we always say, I mean, if the Democrats ever ran on the truth and said exactly who they are and what they want, they would never win. It would be you could try and rig things as much as you want. Their messaging and who they really are is just that bad that they would never. No one would ever go for it. And if they did win, there'd be revolt. The problem is now is they lie, they get away with it, they get into office, start doing these things and say, no, we're not doing those things. And people are so flipping stupid that they're like, oh, I guess they're not doing it. They just said they're not doing it. We're not communists.
We're going to vote for Carmelo, even though nobody voted for her.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that is a special brand of stupidity and ignorance to be like, oh, I'm going to go out and vote for Carmelo. Dumbass, you had no choice in the pick. And now all of a sudden, it goes back to what I've said about the left in the past. Most people who belong to the Democrat Party are submissives. They want to be told what to do, when to do it, and they don't want to take any personal responsibility for themselves. And they also want to force people to comply with everything that their mommy government tells them that they have to, because they're just like, oh, whatever, mommy government, you tell me, that's what I'll do, because they've replaced God with government. And when you have government as your ultimate deity and as your moral compass, you're screwed. And that's what we're seeing with people on the left. They just can't figure it out how they've been played so badly. And, they got played badly during COVID. They've been played badly their entire life with the climate crisis and everything else. They won't admit it. They would rather the shit just completely burn down before they're ever proven wrong. And they're wrong about everything.
Yeah, I think that is so true, and that is so much the case in so many of situations out there for people. Is, oh man, I did get duped. Oh man, things aren't going well here, but I'll be damned if I'm going to admit it to you, because that makes me look like an idiot. Everyone is so concerned about how they look and sound. Like, who cares? Why do you care what have you looked around? Like, why do you care what anyone on this planet, not just our country, cares? I just that still befuddles me. Like, I don't want to rock the boat. Okay.
Yeah.
Then just continue to be a totally useless, non-playable character.
Yeah, and for most of us, I know, Drew, you and I have had this conversation before about how we've had our own personal reckoning on what we've believed in the past. And I admit, I got duped into weapons of mass destruction. I got duped into following, what Republicans were saying. I understand now that most of everything that I was taught in school is a complete lie. And to move forward, I have to accept the fact that I was wrong and open myself up to once you open yourself up to the fact that you've been deceived and admit, all right, I got duped, it's not happening again, I'm going to move forward and I'm going to start asking even more questions about what's going on. And until you have that awakening, you're just going to be, like you said, an NPC going, oh, Biden's fantastic. Oh, wait, Kamala's fantastic.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's what you become.
Yeah. And I think we still are this system is so broken that we're still NPs. We're just NPs with a little piss and vinegar who are willing to push back and try and enjoy life more. Because you can't enjoy life as you pretend that you do. You can't enjoy, like, the fake you. Yes, you tell yourself you're doing fine, but like you can't really enjoy life just going along with all this nonsense, because it's so freaking ridiculous. You mentioned the word deceived there, which is obviously a huge part of the Democrat platform and the Marxist platform. And one of the things, she didn't specifically say it in that clip we just showed, but she did say it in that interview. And I think there's a clip of that in this montage that we're about to show.
Gonna need a montage.
But the deception and the way that they're playing this game of, vote us in. I promise, even though we're there now, that we'll change things if we do, if we get in. Worst political campaign plan ever, and yet it's probably brilliant because it'll probably work for them. But it's the least sensible one ever. But one of the things they keep pushing, and you'll hear both Harris and Walz say it, is, look, I'm just a middle class person. I come from a middle class this. And it's so disingenuous, and it's so fake, and they're so full of shit. But listen to this clip. Tim starts it off, and then you got a bunch of slut face talking and saying it afterwards. But let's listen to this, then we'll discuss.
People who wake up, frankly, each morning wondering, how am I going to get by financially?
Yeah, I tell them Kamala Harris and I know something about it, being middle-class folks. Our families sit at the table trying to pay the bill. We know.
When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid.
We talk about bringing down prices and making life more affordable for people. Yeah. What are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
Well, I'll start with this. I grew up a middle-class kid. They can just get their foot in the door to be able to then engage in what will prove to be their opportunity to build intergenerational wealth. And here's my personal experience coming at that. I grew up a middle-class kid.
All right, so you guys are smart. This is a smart audience, and I'm grateful for you. But if you're new around these parts, or you're checking this out for the first time, if you hear a politician repeat a line, a statement, a word, a phrase, or anything over and over and over again, please know that it's utter bullshit. It's the biggest tell. I mean, they might as well be wearing a shirt that says, "I'm lying to you," as they say that. And it's just so ridiculous. And look, so now you have everyone, and it's BS when everyone starts saying it too. And then you get the media being like, well, she's just a middle-class person trying to bring in change. Yeah, stop it. But you have Tim saying it. And the truth of the matter is, we're just middle-class folks, Tim said. There's lots of middle-class, good people in the state of Minnesota. And maybe Tim Walz or any of these folks were middle class at one point. The problem is then they decided, okay, I'm not talented enough to do anything with my life. No one would ever hire me or pay me, so I'm going to get into politics because I can get away with all sorts of stuff there. I get power, I get money, and I don't have to be good at anything. So you go that route, and then you start climbing the ranks, and you get to the point where you're in a position where you've made money, you're a governor, you're the vice presidential candidate, you're all of these things, and they are so far removed from everyday Americans, from everyday life, from middle class life, that they don't have a clue what they're talking about. So I get if someone tries to fact check from the left, since that's their favorite pastime, to say, well, his family made this amount back then, and he grew up in this small town or this town. That doesn't matter anymore. That doesn't matter anymore. When you're in these positions, and particularly in their politically natured positions, and you're part of this gross, nasty, deceptive world that all these politicians are a part of, you cannot connect with normal people anymore. You don't even know how to pump gas or cook food or do anything. And I'm not saying that specifically about Tim, but in general, these politicians, you're so far removed from that. I just think it's so disingenuous to say that. You could have been a broke ass, poor son of a bitch 30 years ago, but that's not where you are now, bro. That's not where you are now, and that's definitely not where she is.
Well, also too, doesn't matter where you come from, but when you hear them say, oh, instead of them saying, hey, when there was the riots happening, like the Walz family, we needed to get enact and have it all stop. No, they went home, rolled down the windows so they could smell it all in. They were smelling what was going on. They just let the city burn. They're not helping people. They don't care about the people, because if they did, they truly did, they wouldn't have done that.
Well, clearly the term middle class has been focus group. That's why those two assholes are using it.
Right.
If you have a traditional middle class background, you're going to be typically a little bit more conservative to maybe sort of, center left, center right. You're going to be sort of a middle of the road person with two parents, both working, and coming from a background where you don't wonder where the next meal is coming from. To me, that's middle class, where there's really your parents don't overly spend money, but they have enough money to take you on vacation during school, during summer break. That they have money to buy a Christmas tree and presents. They have money to buy you birthday presents. To me, that's pretty basic middle class. Coming from that environment, you don't go to China 39 times. If you're middle class and you're living in Berkeley, you're the way that your childhood's going to be a little bit different. And then when you go to high school in Canada and your parents are both left-wing lunatic professors, your upbringing is going to be might be middle class, but it's going to be middle to upper class. And also, you're not going to develop the same sort of values a typical middle class person is going to have. And especially when you grow up in Berkeley, of all places. I love how now, Shot Receptacle is now saying that she grew up in Oakland. Oakland and Berkeley are close to each other, but there's a huge difference between the two places. They're not even remotely alike in any stretch of the imagination. So you might be middle class, but your values don't reflect middle class. And that's the trick that the trap that they're trying to lay. It's the semantics trap they're trying to lay for everybody. They're trying to equate growing up middle class is growing up with middle class values, which neither of them possess.
Yeah. Well, and it's so on par with everything else they're doing. They 100%, you're right. They 100% focus grouped this and figured out this is something we need to hit. But this goes back to lazy, naive, stupid, whatever, all three Americans, because they're saying this because everyone's struggling right now. The economy is a big part of that. And this particular segment of the population and beneath feel abandoned, are disenfranchised, are frustrated. But the people who are telling you they're one of you are the ones who abandoned you. They're the ones who have brought all this on. So it's again just this super egregious lies. Like, I'm one of you. Then fix it. Then help fix it. You're there now. One of you is the active governor. One of you is the active vice president. It frustrates the hell out of me that people will go for it. But what pisses me off is it'll work. You keep repeating this enough, like, Trump's a billionaire. They're middle class people. They get us. And it's not a stupid strategy. It's reckless. It's horrible for our country. And it's manipulating things terribly and lying terribly, but it's actually, as much as it pisses me off, it's not a horrible strategy on their part as much as it is bullshit. All right, folks. It's been fun. It's been real fun. Take this cheery news, take this cheery conversation and lead it into what hopefully is a good Wednesday night for you. It's Wednesday. That means one thing and one thing alone. We've made it. We only have one more night to get through. So you just got to get through tonight. And then tomorrow you got ball. You got ball, baby.
You know what I've realized? That maybe Tom can concur or not concur, but Tuesday and Wednesday shows have been a little more down because there's no ball. But then when there's ball, the episodes we're up and talking fun stuff. Your energy's up.
Yeah.
You know what? I've got some thoughts about ball and what's going on with it and what it's become and the future of it. So I'll be glad to share that with you tomorrow.
I think I know exactly what you're going to say, but yes, we'll make sure that we squeeze it in tomorrow. We will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. We hope that you join us. Please hit that like button on the way out. If you're listening on the podcast, we'd be so grateful if you'd give us a 5-star review. Make sure you subscribe there. All those things allow us to rise up in the charts on the different podcast platforms, which means they get more attention, which means more people come to listen. We get better stuff, around the studio, better guests, all that stuff. So keep doing that. All of it helps. I know it seems small and vain. It's not for that purpose. It's for the purpose of helping grow this community. So we're glad that you're a part of it. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Be safe, be smart, be free.